Hi everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Nostalgic Needlework. For those of you who are new, my name is Renee, and for those of you who are my subscribers or my friends and family who watch my videos, welcome back. I appreciate it very much. This is my Stitchmaynia 2018 edition. I have wrestled with whether or not I was going to do Stitchmaynia this year. I've never done it in the past. I just found FlossTube, or just started becoming an avid watcher of FlossTube back in the fall of last year, maybe end of summer. So I didn't even know what Stitchmaynia was. So for those of you who are new to FlossTube, who are just my friends who maybe don't cross stitch or who have never heard the term in their life, a brief explanation is, as I understand it, Stitchmaynia was started back in 2015, and the premise was for stitchers to take the month of May and choose a certain amount of new starts that they wanted. Each day you would begin a new piece, and you would continue that until you had begun all the pieces that were what you had chosen for that particular year. Being a monogamous stitcher primarily, although I do have usually an ornament or a pillow going at the same time I have a bigger piece. Sometimes I even break that rule, but primarily monogamous. The word Stitchmaynia just gave me anxiety, bad anxiety. So, following the advice of Teresa Vinette, who I hear on her channel Kitten Stitcher all the time say, make the piece what is yours, make the event, I'm sure she would say, what suits you. I decided that I would make Stitchmaynia what best suits me. So, although a lot of people are doing 18 starts for the first 18 days of May because it's the year 2018, for me, I knew that would never, I would be sick by the end of the 18 days because I just know my personality, and it is just not to, it just makes me stressed to think about it. So, I decided to think about what it was that I really wanted to stitch a quantity of, but maybe not big projects, smaller things. And the first thing that came to mind were Christmas ornaments. This past Christmas, I decided at the end of the Christmas season that for this upcoming Christmas season and going forward, I needed to change things up a bit. Just, things going on in life. My kids are older. My mom was kind of feeling the need to change up Christmas a little bit. So I have several Christmas trees. Not all of them get put up every year. But I have my big Christmas tree started out as a Victorian tree, and it's kind of morphed into it's still a Victorian tree, but I've accumulated more colors. I started out thinking pink, ivory, and gold, and I brought in some burgundies and deeper greens, emerald greens, that kind of thing. However, I have a small Christmas tree that I like to put up in our family room. And I really felt in my heart this past Christmas that I needed a tree that, regardless of what the circumstances were for the year, regardless of what changes had happened in my family during that year, I could put that tree up and I could put those ornaments on that tree, and it wouldn't make me sad or it would keep my focus on what I celebrate for Christmas, which is Christ's birth. So I got out. Well, let me go back a minute. I also wanted to primarily do a stitch from stash because I've acquired several new patterns which required fabric, which required threads, and I allowed myself to join a couple of clubs, which are not expensive considering what you get for each time they send out a shipment. And I'll go into those on my regular floss tube video. But I really wanted this to be a Stitchmaynia for me that was not stressful, that was productive for a goal I had set for myself with the tree. And I remembered that I had a lot of books and a few magazines, that's practically all they were cross-stitch ornaments, pillows, mostly smalls, but a few larger things. So that's what I've done. I have not kitted these up. I've just made my list. I do not plan to start them all in the month of May. I'm going to spread them out. I had started back at the beginning of the year getting one ornament a month stitched, and then I had some family things that required my attention, and I wasn't able to keep that up. So I'm going to hopefully use Stitchmaynia as a way to get back to that once a month. But I have found 16 ornaments or patterns, and I think most months I can get more than one thing done. Some months I'm going to have to start a project and carry it over until I get it finished because they are larger patterns. One thing that was fun for me was going back in time, looking at all these magazines and books and patterns that they brought back a memory. I remember seeing that. I wanted to stitch that. I don't know why I never started. So this is kind of a way of using Stitchmaynia to organize myself. And with that, I'm going to get started. The first pattern that I found was in a magazine called, it's a Leisure Arts publication, Celebrations to Cross Stitch and Craft. And this magazine came out, or this publication, it says that this is the premiere issue. I don't remember how long it was around, but it was 1989. For some of you, you weren't even born in 1989. For me, in 1989, I had Ryan and Austin. I had not given birth to Carson yet. The one pattern that I picked from this magazine is titled Behold the King of Angels, and it's designed by Carol Emo. And I think you're going to see that without trying, I did end up landing on several of her designs. This is a picture of what the pattern will look like. Now, for my purposes for Stitchmaynia, I don't plan to stitch this entire design. I plan to stitch the Madonna and Child, the Holy Mother, and the crown, but I'm not going to do the words or any of the outline here. The design, doing that, I'll probably need a piece of fabric about 7 inches by 9 inches. And I'm also going to use fabric that I have in my stash, if at all possible. Many of these will probably be stitched with DMC, most of them, unless I just happen to have a special thread that will substitute and look pretty in the design. So that's number one. Number two is Madonna and Child. There's a theme there too. And this design is by Joan Behringer. I have thought this was beautiful for quite some time. I don't know if you can tell, but it's stitched with blue and a gold DMC metallic thread. And there are Mill Hill beads used in the pattern. I just think it's beautiful. I expect the design to be pretty close to what the magazine states because I want to do, I don't know if I'll do that gold oval, but I will do the entire Madonna and Child. And that design, just the design, not adding any border or anything, is 5 3/8 inches by 6 7/8 inches. So I may possibly make that into a pillow rather than an ornament, because on the video I made some time back, I shared with you that I like to stick on my big tree little miniature dolls inside the tree like they're looking out. And I also like to use cushions, sometimes small little pillows, and do that as well to fill in holes in the Christmas tree. So that very well could be made into a pillow. Number 3 is called, well, it comes to me from, well, I didn't tell you where that Madonna and Child was. I'm sorry to leave the screen. It was from Cross Stitch Christmas. It's a Better Homes and Gardens, and that was from 1998. If you have this, if you're a old stitcher like me, you have probably seen that magazine. There's so many pretty things in all these magazines that go to different themes. I'm trying to collect a gingerbread collection for my kitchen, and I saw things in here that go with that. I also have wanted to make a few musical things for a little Christmas tree in here in my music room, and I found some of those too, but I didn't mark them because I wanted to just stick with Stitchmaynia right now. This is from Better Homes and Gardens, Cross Stitch Christmas. I'll let you see the whole magazine. And this was, what year? 1997. The pattern I picked is called A Child is Born. And the whole design is beautiful. But there again, I will probably only stitch the Holy Family. And if I can figure out a way, I'd like to stitch the cross, which is also a star. I don't know, I'm talking about this one right here. But for Stitchmaynia, I just listed the Holy Family. I think I can make that into an ornament if I leave off the border. It is, let me check my notes here. Just counting the height of Joseph with his crown, it was 93 stitches high by 70 stitches wide. So that kind of gives you an idea of what that will be. My next design comes from Just Cross Stitch 2002 Special Christmas Edition, Christmas Ornaments. And I found several in this magazine. Number 4 is entitled Shepherd's Watched, and the designer is Shepherd's Bush, which we all know and love. And this is Shepherd's Watched. I think all of these are really cute. Not so crazy about the mushroom, but that's just because I'm not a real mushroom person. That doesn't mean somebody else wouldn't be. The 5th design that I've chosen is, of course, 3 Wise Men. The shepherd's bush design is 40 stitches high by 41 stitches wide, and the three wise men pattern is 60 inches high by 60 inches wide. I plan to finish those much like you see here, with, of course, different fabric, but on the line of what you're seeing here. Number 6 is It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. That's what I called it, but then when I looked up the pattern, it was really called Star of Wonder, so I apologize to the designer, which is with my needle. You'll see in a minute why I called it that. There it is right there with the little sheep. I love sheep. I don't know if I'll stitch it on blue. Probably. I like that look. And I like that little finish. I don't know if I'll do that or not. That little pattern is only 36 stitches high by 40 stitches wide. So that one won't take very long at all. The next pattern I found, number 7, is Stable Animals. And this is really neat. And in this book, it was made with a wreath, like a corn husk wreath. And the ornaments are really tiny. But I'm just counting them as one because I don't want to count them separately. They're too small. And I've lost my sticky notes, so if you'll bear with me just 1 minute, I'm going to find the picture if I can. Now there is a caveat to this. I love all the little barn animals. I'm going to use them, of course, as ornaments instead of on a wreath. That's my plan. However, one of the little ornaments is a mouse. And I can't exactly tell you why. I developed this huge fear of mice and rats. I'm just terrified of them. I don't know if it's from seeing them caught in traps when I was a little girl. I don't know if it was just the thought that they were running through the room and I had no control over where they were going to go. It wasn't helped when my brother got old enough to have to take out the trap. Remember, we live in the country. And he began chasing me with the dead mouse in the trap around the yard when my mama and daddy were at work. And I'm 7 years older than him, but yuck. And I had another kind of traumatic experience for me. It wouldn't have been for anybody else probably. That's not as afraid of mice as I am. When my first 2 little boys were young, they had come out with these boxes that had the poison in the center. So the theory was the little mouse would run in, eat the poison. My children couldn't get to the poison, and they would run out and go look for water and die. Well, that didn't work so well because the mice would eat the poison, or the little mouse would eat the poison, but sometimes they didn't make it outside to look for water. So they would be almost gone. And I was one time sitting in a chair and I watched this little mouse walk across the floor real slowly, go back on his hind legs and leap up onto my couch. I didn't see him get down. My husband was at work. It was night. I sat in that rocker until he got home. He looked and that little mouse had passed away right there on my sofa. The last traumatic experience that I'll tell you about is Ryan had gone down for his nap. He was about 4. I had laid Austin down for his nap. He was about 15 months old, maybe. He was still sleeping in his crib in our bedroom. Maybe he wasn't that old. And he was probably about 6 months old. And I laid him down in our bedroom to take his nap. I came back down the hall, did my work, whatever I was doing that day. And I started down the hall to check on him. And there was a mouse laying out in the hall. I thought it was dead, so I thought, well, I'll just step over it, get my baby, wake Ryan up, and go into the family room. As I got close to this little mouse, he had come out of the bath, the hall bath. He would move, and I would jump. And I'd take a step closer thinking, I got to get my baby. And he would move, and I would jump. I didn't know what I was going to do. It was the middle of the day. My daddy was at work. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I called a lady from our church, and her husband worked for himself, and I said, is he home? And she said, yes. And I said, I have a dead mouse between me and Austin. And she said, he'll be right over there. So he came and got the mouse for me, and when he laid it on the flatbed of his truck, that little mouse was still alive and probably suffering, and I didn't think about it at that time because I was just so glad to get my baby in my arms. But that's kind of a grim story, and I love animals. I really do. You know how much I love my little baby, but oh, mice. I just can't take it. I can't find the pattern, so I'm going to have to skip over that pattern. Unless it's in the next magazine, which I think it is. I was looking in the wrong book. So that's enough of my mouse story. I said all that to say this. I'm going to stitch every one of the little stable animals except the mouse, because I still think I can stitch him, even though he's little. And he is right here, because this is number 7. It comes out of Better Homes and Gardens Cross Stitch Christmas. Let you see the whole magazine. And this is from the year 2000. Let me see. Things were much different in the year 2000. These are, I'll try my best to get a good view. See the little mouse? And this is on a wheat wreath, not a corn husk wreath. There's a little lamb. There's some doves or pigeons or something. There's the little cow, the little donkey, the camel, and little mouse. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. So I'm going to stitch all of them but the little mouse. And those little designs are only 40 stitches high by 40 stitches wide. They were designed by Mona Eno, and I've never heard of her before. She may be very famous, and I just don't know, but her last name is spelled E-N-O. If any of you know anything about her, I'd love to hear it, because I think that's a cute idea. The next design that I picked is Holy Nativity, and I plan to stitch once again the Holy Family only. Not because I don't like the whole design, but because of just trying to get enough stitch to do my little tree. This is by the designer. Oh, mercy, I didn't mean to do that. That was the pattern. It's probably okay because this is a magazine. But this is what I plan to do. I plan to just stitch around the Holy Family. And that design, I counted it up. I'm sorry, the designer here is Camille Harrison. And the part that I plan to stitch is 76 stitches high by 50 stitches wide. So there again, it won't be too terribly much. I can't decide if I'll do that on a pillow or on an ornament. I don't know. I'll just have to see what calls to me when I'm finished with it. This next design is from 1998, Just Cross Stitch Special Edition Christmas Ornaments. I bet some of you younger stitchers are getting a kick out of some of the designs. If I were to go through the whole magazine with you, you could see how some of the designers have progressed through the years. Not that the patterns are any better, but just changing with how what people are looking for is changing. This is one that I'm not stitching for the nativity. I'm stitching for the music room in here, and it's called Joy to the World. And it's right there. They have it stitched on perforated paper. I don't think I will do that. That looks like something I would probably end up making into a small pillow for the music room here. This is, let's see, the designer is Vera K Designs. And I did not write down what the dimensions were of this little piece, but it's not, as you can see in comparison, it's not a great big design. I love designs that have music in them, and going through these magazines I found several, so I want to add that, but I wanted to stay as close to the nativity theme as I could here. Let's see, which number am I on? Number 10 is Oh Holy Night by Fancy That Patterns Inc. And it is right here. Oh, good. I can open it up because there's not a pattern there. There we go. Oh Holy Night. That's a sweet little ornament. I think the buttons around it are cute too. I just love the little angel holding the cross. I'm also planning to stitch this beautiful piece. That is a cross stitch pattern that I have wanted to do for a very long time. It is called Christmas Love, and it's an angel holding baby Jesus. And her hair, I don't know if you can tell or not, but her hair is done with specialty stitches. I think that is absolutely beautiful. So I'm looking forward to that one. It is designed by Douglas Designs, and it's 73 stitches high by 59 stitches wide. I said some time back that I had stitched some birth pillows for my children to go on my main Christmas tree. And we remodeled our house several years ago, and I haven't found those things. I had to pack everything up, pull all the furniture to the center of the room, and I know they're downstairs or either in some of my curio cabinets. So I have all faith that I'll be able to find them. I stitched them on Ada, but I made them into pillows. I did a burgundy cording around them, and I did a burnt out burgundy velvet on the back. I hope and pray I can find them one day. But this is the little pattern I used. Baby's First Christmas. And for Jessica, I did the pink bow on the little bear. And for my boys, I did a blue bow. I kind of took some stitch liberties with the little face. And I'm not a designer, so some of the faces turned out much more professional looking than the others, but they all were special because I was just trying to give each of my children a little special thing. And I did do Baby's First Christmas, and then at the bottom I put their birth year instead of 1998. So, oh, and the little flower that's on the baby's collar, I did that in pink and blue respectively. I still have my children's christening gowns, and I hope to show you those one day. They are yellowing a little, but they're so sweet. The boys did not have christening gowns. They just had little white outfits, and my little girl did have a christening gown. And I've always wanted to do some kind of stitch something. And if you have any ideas, let me know. And put those in a shadow box to protect their little outfits and to protect or to make them know that that was their christening outfit. And just something Probably something I can hang on my wall. Whether they'll ever hang it on their wall or not, I don't know. But by that time I won't care, will I? So those are the two designs. Let's see. Yes, those are the only two that I chose from that book. My next design, which is number 12, is another nativity. And it comes from a Better Homes and Gardens book. I love these books. Just the artwork, I can't speak today, is lovely. Even if I wasn't a stitcher, I think I'd love to look at the artwork. I love Santa Claus, and I want to do a collection of Santas sometime too. I need to count up. Have I got enough years in my life left to do all of this stitching? I don't know. Only the Lord does. But I'll make my best try. This design is by Barbara Sestok, S-E-S-T-O-K. And it is a beautiful pattern. And I'm not going to try to reduce that any. I'm going to stitch that as it's charted. I just think it's beautiful. Once again, I may change some of the threads if I have some sampler threads or overdyes that are pretty that would go there. And I'm not sure what color fabric that called for, but I'll try to choose something close. Isn't that just beautiful? This design is 153 stitches high by 108 wide. So that will be an ongoing project, but still not too horribly big. Number 13 is coming to me from another Better Homes and Gardens book, The Season for Stitching. I'm sorry, that book was from, I always think I'm so prepared for these videos and I'm so unprepared when I start. But my heart is in the right place. It's just my follow through is not always the greatest. What year is this? Let me see. Okay, Renee, you went to college. You know how to read a book. The published year. The year 2000. This may be the book that has, I know I'm not supposed to be doing this because I'm supposed to be talking about Stitchmaynia, but I get off track sometimes. There's a pattern in one of these books, and I'll show it to you at some point. It is two little girls, and I've wanted to stitch that pattern since I first saw it. And I didn't choose it for my Stitchmaynia, but I will eventually get to it, hopefully. Okay, this book, I'm going to look up the published date before I go any farther, is 1998. Better Homes and Gardens Across Stitch Christmas, The Season for Stitching, like I've already said. Repeating myself now, mercy. Number 13 is also a nativity, and it's by Carol Emer. Whoops. I'm still not good at holding these up. Maybe with practice I will. I love the shadowing behind the shepherd and Mary and Joseph. I think that just really makes this piece pop. And their expressions and where their hands are. I just love this piece. This is, I didn't write the dimensions down, but this will be an ongoing piece, I'm certain. I like that color of linen. I'll be looking for something similar to that if I can't find that any longer. Number 14 is 3 small samplers. and they're by Louise Young. They're very pretty, simplistic. Silent night, holy night, we three kings, and peace on earth. I hope you're getting good. There's peace on earth. Closer. This is Silent Night, and we three kings. Let's see. Each of those designs are 130 stitches high by 185 stitches wide. So that'll definitely be a project that takes a little while because there are 3 of them. But I think they're so pretty. I may frame those and maybe sit them on the credenza that I have, or somewhere, just as a little vignette of Christmas things. And there's a pattern in that book that I didn't even realize I had started, and I don't know when I started it, but this fell out. It is, it's going to be it is a dove. I'm just not finished with the stitching yet. And this was on 14 count 8, as you can see. So I didn't put that on my list, but I definitely will finish that old dove up. I probably forgot about it because I stuck it in that book, and then life happened and I forgot what I was working on. So that's going to be something that I do, but that's not included in my Stitchmaynia. And my very last design, the last 2 designs actually, that I was able to write down were, one is called Angels, and it's by Carol Emer. And the other one is not related. I don't even know how this popped in there, other than I loved them and I didn't want to forget where they were, so I wrote them down. They're gore balls, and I'll show you the picture, but I want to finish those for one of my trees. These are the angels with the Christ child, Jesus, in the manger. Oh, how I love that. That design itself is 122 stitches high by 106 wide. And then let me see if I can quickly find the gore balls. This is one of those books who has a lot of, that has a lot of musical designs that I want to stitch. But for Stitchmaynia, I did not add those. Here's the picture of the little girls that I want to stitch. Aren't they precious? I've always thought that would be pretty to put in little Jessica's room, who's not so little anymore, but she likes to put her own tree up, and I think this would be really pretty sitting on her dresser. She does somewhat Victorian tree herself, and she does primarily anything that's not Victorian is pink. She has a lot of, or several ornaments related to dance, some little ballet shoes and that kind of thing. And so I think this would go really pretty with her little theme she has going in her room on for the Christmas season. But I'm not going to include that in my Stitchmaynia. And I apologize. I don't know where the picture, you probably don't care anyway, but I don't know where the picture is for the gore balls, but they're just like a 4 or 6 gores. And it gives very good instructions how to make them into a round ball. And I do know that the designer was Linda Palmer. The stitches just in the stitched part. Now this isn't counting the other materials that you would need, but the actual stitched part is there are 3 of them. The first one is 70 stitches high by 23 wide. The second one is 47 stitches high by 14 stitches wide. And the third one is 51 inches high by 15 inches wide. Now I have something written back here. That was another pattern I found, Angels and the Christ Child. And that pattern is by Donna Vermillion Giampa, Giampa. That design is 137 stitches wide by 132 high, so it's another that I'll be working on for quite some time. Now, to finish up my video, I'm sorry it's gone so long, I just always talk too much. But to finish up my video, I want to say that there are in my stash some things that I will put on that tree also. I probably will include some Mill Hill kits, and I know I have a pattern. It's a church in the background. It's either by Country Cottage Needleworks or Little House Needleworks, and it has 3 angels in the front, and it's Angels We Have Heard on High. I'm sure I will stitch that for this same, I'm going to add that to my mania list. So that will give me, if I just add the Angels We Have Heard on High, that will give me 18 for Stitchmaynia. I will start something on tomorrow, May 1st, just to say that I started Mania in the month of May. But many of these are just going to be progressive through the year. So with that, my friends, I hope you all will be blessed. Have a wonderful week. Those of you who are participating in Stitchmaynia, have a wonderful time starting all those beautiful projects. I've enjoyed very much seeing all of your videos. I haven't gotten around to all of them yet. And for those of you who are who I usually have been, just Stitchmaynia wannabes, I probably still am this year. Just enjoy the time. Just enjoy the time. I'll be back probably later on this week with another regular floss tip video. But in the meantime, my friends, my family, my subscribers, be blessed.